As dads, some days we feel like we have all the answers, and some days we feel like we don't have a clue. If that describes you, you're at the right place. This is the All Pro Dad Podcast. Welcome to the All Pro Dad Podcast, where in each episode we dive into just one question. We talk about what we've gotten right, but mostly what we've gotten wrong. We explore what the experts say and leave you with one small but powerful pro move. I'm Ted Lowe, and I'm joined today by three other dads, Bobby Lewis, Reggie Lewis, and Maddox Womble. And we're, between all of us, we are with every age and stage almost of being dads. And Bobby, we're just going to dive in.
Yeah.
What is our question of the episode?
We do one every episode, and this one I think is a good one. I hope we get some good conversation out of this because it's such a loaded question. But it is this: what are the words my kids long to hear?
Wow. That's
not just hope to hear, not just maybe one day, but like long deep in their soul to hear from their dad.
Right. And they don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even know. So for you guys, when was a time that your dad said exactly the right thing at the right time?
I can think of I played a few sports back in the day in high school and things, and one of them was track. And I was fast, but I was not the fastest. And I remember a meet where I just got crushed and finished, like seventh in the race. And I came off, and I was a little defeated off the field. And my dad was there; he was always there, and that's something I'll never forget. Just him being there, which was enough to support me. But I just got crushed, and I had trained for it for months, and I think it was the 200. And he was like, Maddox, you did your best, and that's enough. Mm-hmm. And, of course, I think after that, somewhere in there was I'm proud of you, which is also, I think, what kids, that feels so good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the one that sticks out to me is just the handful of times where it was just, I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
Whether you were the grand slam walk-off home run or you struck out trying, I'm proud of you. You did your best. That mattered to me.
Yeah. So you said handful of times. So when he did say it, it did matter a whole lot to you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Reggie, what about you, buddy?
Oh, a little different story. I didn't hear, the words that I longed to hear until later on in life. And so, but it is I'm proud of you. I'm happy that you're, what you're doing. I'm happy the journey your life is on. And so, when you do hear it, it makes an impact. That is great. Because you're hearing it from the man that, went half on creating you. So it's good stuff.
Halvesies.
For sure.
Halvesies. Dad's a halvesy. I got in trouble for something at school that I didn't do.
Yeah.
And it turned into this big deal. And I kind of grew up when if you got in trouble at school, you got in trouble at home. Mm-hmm. Like you'd come home. And so you wouldn't tell your mom and dad, hey, this happened. And so typically that would have been his response. Yeah. But he listened to me. And it got bigger at school than it should have. And he says to me, hey, do you want me to go up there and wipe the halls with that guy's butt? And I'm not sure that's super spiritual, but I've never been so relieved to hear anything in my life. And I, of course, didn't want to be embarrassed. I didn't want him to go up there. But it was one of those moments where it was the exact words I needed to hear at the exact time.
Hallmark has a card that says exactly that. Actually.
I will go to the school and I will wipe the halls with that guy's butt.
Bestseller.
Yeah, because I love you.
But he's got your back.
Yeah, he got your back.
Did I need to hear it? Mm-hmm. It was. It's a story for another day. But when you think about what words your kids long to hear, they're at different ages, they're at different stages, it means different things at different times. They become teenagers, they look at you when you say those affirming things like, give me a break. And so I know that it shifts and it changes as time changes, but at the same time, boy, this is a pursuit that we got to keep thinking about as dads, because as we talk about those things from our dad, like I didn't know to look back at my dad in that moment and say, Dad, this meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
And so we want to talk today. We just want to throw out some phrases, because I think what we're learning on the podcast is dads are like, okay, enough theory, like
Practical tips, something I can put into practice today.
Absolutely. And so this is going to be a little bit of a different episode. We're going to give you a couple of phrases. We're going to give you a list of phrases, and we'll stop and chat about that a couple times. But just some things. And as you're listening, maybe you go, oh, that's the one for me. And if you go, I can't write this down because I'm driving. Don't. I'm going to run. So these will be in your show notes at allprodad.com
for sure.
/podcast. So we'll just dive in. Here's some ones. And we kind of compiled these together. I actually reached out to all my kids that range in ages from 13 to 23. I'm a tired guy. I'm a tired man.
You look exhausted.
Yeah, I am. I'm stoked.
You're just so.
No. This is what my kids will go. Dad, why are you looking at me like that? Well, I'm sorry. This is what my face looks like.
Reggie's the other side of tired. He's got a 2-year-old, so he's like the opposite end of tired.
Yeah.
You're the 20-year-old tired. He's the 2-year-old tired.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's two different looks. I can see that right now. It's a good thing this is an audio show. Is all I got to say. Okay. The first one is I love you. Is I love you.
Undefeated, man.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Undefeated. I started doing this thing you said a couple of weeks ago, and I thought it was so profound that I put it into practice in my own life. You said a phrase growing up with your kids was, when does dad love you? All the time.
All the time.
And so I was like, I'm going to try that. That sounds awesome. And so with my younger two, my youngest just turned 4. Now she gets really excited. I'm like, hey, when does daddy love you? And she gets all excited and finishes the sentence. And then my older daughter, who's 12 and a half, I said, hey, when does daddy love you? And she goes, Thursdays. Joking around. But like they get it. Like they know, like I love you, not just now and not just tomorrow, but every tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah. I have a 3 and a 5-year-old. My son Will's 3, but my daughter's 5. So when she was about, 2, 1.5, 2, when she started getting it, I would ask her at bedtime, really bedtime routine. I say, how much does daddy love you? This much? And she'd say, no. This much? No. And then she'd stick out her, and I'd be like, yeah, daddy loves you this much. And we still do something similar like that, but it's great.
That's so good. Again, it's ages and stages, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Your older one goes Thursdays, which that's a brilliant line.
It's funny.
Like you had a moment of pride right there. Going,
and I'm like, man, you're snarky and I like it. That's good.
Well, the 23-year-old calls me the other day and says, hey, Dad, you know how you say that you love me all the time? And I said, yes. He goes, I'm about to test that theory.
Here we go.
And let me just tell you, the boy has crashed 2 cars. And so I was like, oh, no, here we go. Yeah. He goes, I finished watching Ted Lasso without you. And I'm like,
oh, that's it?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
If he had just said I did that, I'd be like, hey, what are you thinking? And I was like, oh, that's fine. That's great. You're great. You're great. But they move on from that. The second one is I like you.
Oh, yep.
Totally different.
Yeah.
Than I
It's
love
totally
you.
different.
Yeah.
It's totally different. I had a man who was, I'll talk about words sometimes when I speak at churches, and I had a man that comes up to me, and he's in his early 80s, and he goes, I remember my mom would always say, I love you, but I don't like you. And here this man is, early 80s, talking about what his mom said to him as a child.
Oh, yeah.
What do you guys think about that? Reggie, what do you think about the term saying to your kids, I like you?
Yeah, no, that's important. I was listening to a podcast just the other day about the need to like your children and how you have to get to that point, right? Like the things you have to do to get to that point. Because let's be completely honest, we don't like our kids all the time. Because a lot of time they remind us of ourselves, right? Like, and if we're honest about that, it's like, okay, what do we do to like them? Like we're the adults. We got to go out of our way to kind of train them and raise them to be likable individuals, right? Like outside of the house. So the need is there. And so we try to, like, when our kids display things where you're like, buddy, you want to share. And the reason why you want to share is because you want to be a likable person, right? You don't want to be the guy that's like, no, you don't. Or when my son, he's like faster than everybody on this football team. And so he's always like, I'm faster than you. I'm like, look, that's a little cocky. People don't like cocky people.
Yeah.
Like, so the likable, to be liked is huge. And I could see, that'd be damaging to hear from your parent. Like, yeah, you know what? I love you, but I don't like you.
I don't like
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that I like you as much. I heard the love. And we also as parents want to be unconditional when we love our children, right?
Yeah.
All the time,
Yeah.
no matter what they do, if they wreck their car or finish Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the like hits a little bit differently. I don't know how it sits.
It does. And I mean, I think that's for our kids too, is just they do want to be liked. When they walk in the room, like I've had to teach my face, like I want them to see on my face that I like them when you walk in the room.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
I like you. You're my friend. Like I said to my son, I said, you wouldn't have hung out with me in high school, but I would have hung out with you.
Yeah,
That's what I
yeah.
told him in high school because he was just having a tough time. Because he makes me laugh all the time. But I like you's a big deal. Here's another one that's research was talking about this. Is you are safe.
Yeah. Super important. Yeah, just to know. That takes me back. I tell my kids that when they have a bad dream or something, wake up. I got you. You're safe. You're okay. Mommy and daddy are here.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that we just put into practice this week, my kids, for the first time, my two older kids flew on a plane with their grandparents. They went to visit grandma and grandpa at their house, and they were real nervous about it because they'd never flown without us before. And so we sat them down and we said, listen, Mommy, Daddy love you, and it's our job to keep you safe, which means we wouldn't put you in a position that we thought was unsafe.
Yep.
So I know you're nervous about this right now, but we take safety so seriously that we are analyzing it from every angle, and we have figured out that this is going to be an okay thing for you to do without us. We wouldn't make you do it if we thought it was unsafe, and that was really settling for them when we had that conversation.
Oh, that's awesome.
I think that would build trust too.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, and that's huge.
You are good enough.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
You were good enough. I'm giving you a second chance.
Which we all need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least.
At
least two.
At least 3,000 second chances.
Yeah.
I'm giving you a second chance. I think I didn't do that well at discipline. I think I would come in and I think maybe communicate you've lost all your chances. Like, well, I'll tell you what, that I can't believe, So I think looking back, this would be one of the things I think I would,
And
because it gives hope in the middle of the discipline.
It also reinforces the fact that mistakes are okay.
Right.
Like it means you're trying.
Right.
Maybe you have made a bad choice, but that doesn't mean that you have to do it again next time. So we're going to give you a second chance to get this right. If you get it wrong again, maybe we'll have a different conversation, but I'm not going to hold you to this standard of perfection every single time in every area of your life. So, you messed up. We get it. We're going to move on, get a second chance, and let's try not to make that same mistake again.
Yeah, let's learn from that.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
For toddlers, instead of that, it's okay, right? Like it's instead of, I don't know if they understand the language of
Right.
Yeah, but I say that all the time. It's okay.
It's okay.
They don't worry about that, but let's do better. Let's learn from that.
It's okay. That's good.
Yeah.
Another one, I think this is a huge one, is I'm sorry.
I'm never going to say that.
I'm never going to say that. It's hard for me to say I'm sorry.
No, it is a
Yeah.
big one. It is a big one.
Yeah.
And the reason it's big in my mind is that it models something that they should do. If you're never saying you're sorry to them, they don't have motivation to say they're sorry to their friends or their brother or their sister or whoever.
Yeah.
You got to model that for them. And if you're vulnerable enough to apologize, it says, okay, I can be vulnerable enough. I can apologize too when I do something wrong, because they're going to mess up.
Right. And I think that's at the foundation of marriage. We're talking about kids, but if kids see you apologize to your wife, you make a mistake. I'm in,
good point.
I'm in the doghouse occasionally.
No.
But yeah, say Natalie, I'm sorry. I messed up, or I did that wrong, or I didn't help here when I should have, or things like that. And the kids see that. So
That's good.
But I tell them that all the time. If I did something or was playing too rough and hurt them on accident, I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I use that to do and display in public, in the sense where with my wife, like if there's something that the kids see, I'm like, hey, they need to see me apologize to you.
Yeah.
Because that's impactful. And then with my kids, if there's something that I do, because us as dads, we're not perfect. If there's something I do, I will go and put them in front of all their, siblings, which I only have 3 kids, so I don't want to say that like I got
Only
like 10
3.
kids, but I'll go and put them in front of their siblings and their mom and say, look, Daddy messed up, and if it's my daughter Grace, I'm speaking directly to her. I'm sorry.
Oh.
So she knows, like, oh, okay, you made this mistake in public and you're apologizing in public. You gotta own that. You gotta hold it. And so I make sure to do that in the household.
That's powerful.
Oh yeah.
Reggie, you always bring things like that. I was thinking, I would have never thought that in a million years. That is brilliant.
Yeah.
That is brilliant. I think for our kids, and I've said this a couple of times, but I had ADHD since long before it was cool to have it, and which makes you kind of reactive at times, and not at times, a lot of times, and so I've had to go back so many times to go, oh, buddy, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And as I get older, those apologies become more complex.
Yep.
But it's, I hurt you and I'm sorry, or I overreacted.
It also offers your kid a chance to forgive you, which is
Yep.
big, you know.
That's good.
And not hold a grudge. I mean, we're all going to make mistakes. But if you are being apologized to, you then get the choice to forgive that person or not. And I think that's an important skill for kids to have.
100%.
That's a great
huge.
point. So, Bobby, to your point, so what you're saying is, until they have the opportunity to forgive you, they may not take that exit ramp that you don't provide.
You should just go home and mess up today for fun to help your kids learn how to forgive. Yeah,
Give them the opportunity.
just for fun. Yeah,
That's the pro move of this.
Yeah, that's the pro
Mess
move.
up and apologize.
Yeah.
I like that.
Just the waters.
yeah.
Maddox, you've said already, this one, it's okay, and mistakes happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
So when they're little, you say, it's okay.
Yeah, it's spilling stuff, writing on the walls, screaming, hitting each other. It's like, how can we learn from that? But it's okay. Like, they're expressing themselves, and at different stages, that's only going to ramp up, right? But making mistakes constantly as toddlers is something that
It's their job.
Yeah, it's their job, right? They're chief mistake makers. So it's like, it's all right, but how can we learn from that? Let me show you a different way to do that, or a different, approach.
Yeah, the diaper industry is actually based on mistakes. It's just a day of mistakes. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Right,
I like
exactly.
that. And so it would be crazy to say to someone that's not toilet trained, to say, "Are you kidding me right now?"
Yeah. Well, that's another point, right? They have an accident too, and they're emotionally, that hits them hard at that age. Like, oh my gosh, I'm embarrassed. They're feeling all kinds of stuff, and you grab them and you look at them, and that's really important as a parent. I feel like right then and there, it's okay. Like, it's okay that happens. Like, that's we've all been there, right? Maybe as little kids we don't remember it, but affirming them, giving them that rock solid foundation from your parent, like, don't worry about it.
All right. Another one is you were beautiful.
Thank you.
You all three are beautiful.
Thank you. I think this is super important. And obviously, in handsome or beautiful, depending on if you're talking to your son or daughter. But I think this is important because there are unrealistic standards set on daughters specifically about what they should look like, but boys too in some regard, but specifically daughters. Like, you are only beautiful if you fill this box, this box, this box, this box, that the world constantly changes, and if you are the one who is telling your daughter, no matter what age she is, especially teenagers, you would know this, but like at all stages, you're so beautiful, you're so pretty, and not because you look a certain way, but because you act a certain way, because you care about people. Like, what's beautiful about you on the inside and outside has to match. You can't just be pretty on the inside, you can't just be pretty on the outside. You have to be an entirely beautiful person, and that's something that they need to hear every day, not just oh, you're going to prom, oh, you look beautiful, it's your birthday, you look beautiful today, all the time.
Yeah, amen. I like how you talked about inside too, right? So many times we think about you're beautiful just being like aesthetic or pretty looking, but your character, it's beautiful. Your sense of humor, the way that you treat others, like, that all makes one beautiful person, right? So,
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I've met many physically attractive people that I didn't want to be around because they were not pretty on the inside, if that's the way to put it.
Yep.
And I want my daughter to be beautiful inside and out, but to really prioritize inside.
That's good.
Because someday, like it or not, you be an old wrinkly girl. That's the way you're going to be, a 95-year-old lady sitting at the. You're just going to be an old wrinkly lady one day. But
hey, you're beautiful right now, but just so you know.
Yeah.
The days are coming, not so much.
You know any old wrinkly girls, Reggie?
I do.
Okay, good. Yeah.
The lady on the Titanic comes to mind.
She was kind of
beautiful on the inside.
Though, so to that point.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
The next one is, I love spending time with you. This was one you guys highlighted, going, I want to talk about that a little bit. Why I love spending time with you. Why is that important?
I think that just fills their cup, right? They're just like, hey, this is fun with when it's hanging out with dad, or when a mom says that to their kids. That we had fun. Let's go get ice cream. Or I really loved that time spending with you, Lily. Like that was good. It fills their cup.
That's good.
Last night, my 4-year-old, she stayed up a little longer than normal, and we try to get her off to bed at the same time every night just for consistency's sake. But last night, we're like, all right, we do prayer time, we're getting ready for bed. And then as she's walking away, I said, hey, you want to read a book? And she was like, oh my gosh, yes. Yeah. I was like, well, let's do it. So then, of course, she picked the longest book we own. Like, I was thinking like maybe a little bit shorter book, but it was like, hey, more than anything, it wasn't, do you not want to go to bed yet? It was, hey, can I hang out with you for a few minutes? And man, she was so excited about that. And it only costs, 10 minutes? Like it only delays the rest of your night by 10 minutes. But what it does is it charges her up to say, man, I'm going to sleep feeling like dad cares about me.
Oh, man.
And that's a really cool thing.
That's good.
That reading time is so special.
Oh, man.
Right?
Amazing.
If there's one of the most important times of the day is that time before bed.
Yeah, that takes all of 10 to 15 minutes, like Bobby said, and it makes a big impact. And then I think about, so you guys know I play chess, and so thinking moves ahead and having a 7, 6, and 2-year-old, I'm thinking about when they're teenagers to when they're adults and they have their own families, that we spent so much time together today that they'll be like, oh, of course, I want to bring my kids over. I want to go to the ball game with you. I want to go play golf with you when they're older and they're adults, because I talk to a lot of elderly people, and majority of them be like, yeah, I don't spend much time with my kids. Maybe once a year we get together, or twice a year, because they have, they'll have their own families, and now everything's taking their time. But I pray my son is going to be like, Dad, let's go play golf. Let's go spend 4 hours together. And he's 25, 26, years old. So.
Well, I've played chess to 20 and 23-year-old, Nate, and you are exactly right. And you want to create a world that they do want to be with you. I travel and speak, and one of the things that we told people was I always bring somebody with me, and sometimes it's not my wife. And so I'm going to bring a kid. So when they started when they were 5 or 6 years old, and here we'd go. So they have been all over the place, and they all have their stories, but it gave me special time with them. And that I could just say, I love it when you come on the trips. It's so fun.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to say, Reggie, I love that. Just thinking about, parenthood is anticipating the next move, like a chess game. You got to be looking ahead.
I have no desire to play chess with Reggie. I'm gonna get crushed. I would lose so quickly.
Okay, Reggie, when we were looking at the list earlier, you were like, hey, I really want to talk about this one. So start us off on this one. It says, you are feeling blank, and that's understandable. Talk about that.
Yeah, I'd say to validate their feelings, right? I mean, a lot of parenting is correction right now. And I don't want my kids to grow up in a world where they feel that their feelings aren't valid. Mm-hmm. And instead, we can understand their feelings and we can coach from there. Because if I never know my son is feeling sad or my daughter is feeling neglected, I can't coach her to it. So I want to, like, what are you feeling right now? Oh, I feel like you're really upset with me. Let's unwrap that. Right?
So good.
So I think it's key to sympathize with our kids, but give them the ability to speak about, what they're feeling. So they don't think like, oh, they're just, it's unimportant. And so that's where, and go with that.
Yeah. I have a phrase that I say with my wife all the time, because sometimes she'll have real high days, some real low days. And I tell her all the time, don't apologize for how you feel. And I haven't really said that with my kids very much, but now that I'm thinking it through, perhaps it's a good thing for children too, because you're entitled to your feelings. Sometimes they're misguided because you just misunderstood something. I said a phrase to you and you took it one way and I meant it another way. Maybe we can have that conversation. There's nuance there. But you are entitled to feel how you feel. And kids need to know that they shouldn't be shamed for feeling a specific way.
That's good.
Yeah, I just think it's important to meet them where they are emotionally. Just right. If they're coming in and they're hot and bothered, or they're upset, or they're super happy, you got to adjust and be right there with them to connect.
It feels like the younger generation of younger dads get this way better than my generation did. Like with our kids, I think we didn't say it was okay to feel sad or to feel mad or whatever.
Suppress it. Yeah.
You were completely managing, and it was almost like, for me, there was this mid-range point. You can this level of sad is okay. This level of mad is okay. It's okay. But I feel like we didn't do that well to go, you're sad and it's okay.
Yeah. Or what do you hear the opposite? Man up, or kid, don't cry. Right? We've all heard that, but it's not healthy.
No, younger dads are doing that better. That is something I'm watching. I'm going, good job, younger dads. You could teach us stuff, and this would be one of those things that I rewind on, which kind of leads us to the next one. And this is one that I got from my 23-year-old is, it's okay to be sad.
Yeah.
Because he can be melancholy, and it's okay to be sad. And I thought, was that the thing that came to mind, because there was a deficit there from me, and I think there was.
Yeah.
You open that door when you say that, it's okay to be sad. You open that door for them to get that emotion out, that negative emotion, that sadness, whatever they're feeling, whatever happened. If you don't say that, you're not prompting them to get that out and leave it behind. But you're giving them that opportunity to do that. It's so powerful.
Yeah, somewhere along the line, and I don't know when this happened, I think we all kind of conflated sad with weak. And they're not the same thing at all. Sad is a natural human emotion, and it's because of circumstances. You're sad because you're in a season where things are not going either up to your expectations or something unexpected happened. And so it's totally fine to have sad feelings in the moment. Now, if you're sad for a prolonged period of time, maybe that's something else to talk about. Yeah. But there's nothing wrong with feeling sad and feeling disappointed. In fact, that's a natural thing.
Are you okay with yourself when you're sad? I don't like emotions that don't feel good to me. I will do everything to avoid them. I don't think I was taught that it's okay to be sad, and therefore I pass that on to my kids. And so that's one of those things.
It's a great list, man.
And the last one is good job.
Good job.
Yeah.
Good job, buddy. Good job. Way to go.
Yep. I think just a high five or something small, big, just awesome job today. Or that can also tie into I'm proud of you. But great job. Good job.
Yeah. Do you know how many scribbly artwork pieces we have in our refrigerator?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I treat it like it's Van Gogh, man. It's like, wow, that is the most beautiful blob of blue I've ever seen. That is incredible. Good job.
Good job.
Yeah, it's powerful. It is.
We're potty training too now with the 3 and a 5-year-old. When they go, it's like, man, yes, you did that.
Yes.
Good job.
Yes. Affirmation is everything. And we talk about it every time. I think it's a running theme. What are we affirming? Yeah, we want to affirm that, if they did good. Right. Athletics or whatever their activity is, but also just good job being a human.
Yeah.
Way to be a good human. Way to be kind to your brother. Good job. Way to be kind to your sister. All right. We could talk about these all day, and we've got a longer list that you can find on our show notes that may be more relevant to your kids. Hopefully one of these was helpful for you, but you can find those on our website at allprodad.com/podcast. Bobby, what's it time for?
Time for the pro move, and this one's real simple. It's just basically pick something that we talked about on this week's show. Don't try to do all these at once. I mean, you can if you want to try to do all of them at once, but don't overwhelm yourself. Just pick one or two of these phrases that we discussed or some that you find in the show notes, and just try them out this week with your kids. I love you. I'm proud of you. I love hanging out with you. Just pick one of the ones we chatted about. And if it's too hard for you to say it face to face because you're just not quite ready or comfortable to do that yet, send them a text. If they're old, they got a cell phone. Just get engaged with your kids somehow. and make sure you use these words they long to hear this week.
Yep. And one final thought that I would say to wrap us up is keep saying these things regardless of their response. They don't know how to tell you what they long to hear. Sometimes they don't know. So keep saying them. When you have teenagers, keep saying it even when they roll their eyes. So that, wrap up this episode by saying, dads, keep saying the things that your kids long to hear. Thank you for listening. You guys, we know you could be doing a million other things. So thank you for doing that. We know you and your kids will be glad that you did. Thanks for listening to the All Pro Dad podcast. All Pro Dad is the fatherhood program of the nonprofit Family First. Along with our motherhood program, iMom, we exist to help you love your family well. Subscribe to our daily email, the All Pro Dad Play of the Day, by going to allprodad.com/subscribe and get daily powerful and practical fatherhood tips in your inbox. The All Pro Dad podcast is hosted by me, Ted Lowe, produced by Bobby Lewis.